in support of a better food system, and the platform hosts online and in-person interactive cooking classes, discussions bringing together farmers, indigenous people, chefs and food activists who believe in and advocate for the need for everyone to have access to quality food, healthy food. Healthy for people and healthy for the planet. Through this work, Erlene directed the authorship of the New York Times reviewed cookbook in support of the United Nations for People and Planet, which I think is available in the bookstore here. If you haven't got it, you can get a copy. And we launched it in the UN Bookshop in April of this year. And at the time when Erlene told me about this project, I said, well, let's have it also in the UN Bookshop. And unfortunately, Melissa couldn't be with us today. I know you spoke to her, but her program changed. She's not. Melissa Fleming is the USG for Global Communications, and was hoping to be with us today. She might stop at the end, but it depends on her other engagements. I would also like to welcome Dr. Anthony Dragona, Union City Board Education School, Interim Board Secretary and a School Business Administrator, who will be speaking on behalf of the schools worldwide who was involved in the development of this book, and he is joined by two of his students, sisters Emily and Ella. They're with us here in Zakir, sharing their perspective on participating in the project and who will read from the book. They might be the youngest people to read here. We'll see. We'll check the record. So I would also like to invite with us His Excellency, Her Excellency John Sidano, Deputy Permanent Representative of the Dominican Republic to the United Nations, to make her introductory remarks. And I remember you were with us for the first book.
I think so too. Okay. Thank you so much and welcome everyone. I am thrilled to be here, even though it was a last-minute change. Also, these weeks before the high-level week are always very hectic, so our ambassador had to and other issues. Good for me, right? The first thing I wanted to share with you, and I want the help of the little ones here. How does our food grow? What word stands out more for you of that phrase? Is it how? Is it does? Is it our? Is it food? Or is it grow? Whatever comes to mind. Food. Normal. To me, it's our. And why our? Because we all have the right to healthy food on our tables, especially at any age, but especially our children. No matter where they live, no matter if there's a war around them, no matter if they were hit by a hurricane or an earthquake, we have to make every effort here at the United Nations so that all children have food on their table, no matter what, and that their parents have the ability to put food on the table. And another thing about this book is, and I think it's also related to the our concept, is the importance we must give to agriculture. Even young people, young farmers, why not? We can take advantage of all the technologies we have out there and this movement of sustainable farming to innovate more and to promote agriculture since a young age. In the Dominican Republic, it's an island in the Caribbean, for those who don't know, even our native indigenous people used to have a small farm just behind their house. The illustrations, everything around it, I think is so valuable. The fun facts about each of the products that are highlighted. Very, very interesting. And at the end, I also wanted to highlight this. I'm taking too long. How you explain these concepts to children. Because so many times you use the USG, ASG. No one knows what they're talking about. So thank you for this. Thank you for this, because it really connects what we talk about in this building with real people, with who we serve. We are serving them, we have to make ourselves better understood. So thank you again. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Your Excellency. And I'd like now to invite friend Stefan Frittenhofer, Chargé d'Affaires of the Austrian Permanent Mission to the United Nations. Stefan.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's good to be back. I just came back to New York, and we met before. So Excellencies, colleagues, dear friends, a warm welcome also from the Permanent Mission of Austria, and I'm honored to fill in for my Ambassador Marschik, who is just on the plane back from Austria to New York. He's about to land soon, and he sent his best regards. And he was more than happy to contribute to the preface of this lovely book, and he shared his personal impressions about it. And those were impressions of excitement and appreciation for this wonderful publication. So, how does your food grow is just as it's, if I might call it like its parent book, the cookbook in support of the United Nations. It's a lot more than a cookbook. It's a lovely children's book about food and the story behind the most important ingredient for our life and their livelihood. And I really have to say, I looked through the book yesterday, and it's really delightfully illustrated, and it takes us, the readers, smaller and younger ones and a little bit more seasoned ones, into the fascinating interconnected worlds of farming, agriculture, biodiversity, health, food production, ecosystems, and so on. But in a very good way for us to understand, all of us, how all of this is interconnected and how this works. And in fact, by doing so, it touches really on some of the most important issues and timely issues we have and that deeply affect us in daily life. And it's actually also topics that my colleagues know that we're discussing on a permanent basis here at the United Nations. And so it's not always easy discussions, sometimes they're quite political, but they really affect our daily lives, and therefore this book is also a good reminder of what is really the basis of our discussions about what we are actually talking about.
Running free of charge school feeding program in the world. Well, luckily the school meals system is spreading, and the School Meals Coalition was launched at the UN Food Systems Summit in September 2021 under the leadership of Finland and France. More than 80 countries from the global north and south together with more than 80 partners, including UN agencies, NGOs, think tanks and academic partners, came together to improve and restore school meals programs as a transformational platform for food and educational systems. The coalition promotes the local food grown by small producers whenever possible. That aim is naturally well in line with sustainable development and climate trends. Well, the first global ministerial meeting will be hosted by France this October. I'm happy to announce that our Minister for Foreign Trade and Cooperation, Mr. Villatavio, will be chairing the meeting together with France. That is a very respectable achievement, and judging by the pictures I saw from the event, they look very good and must have tasted even better. And they had a real Finnish chef happening with them. I know murinpohjalettut myself because my aunt is also chef in Finland, and she makes them every summer in the garden, and it's a very special treat. You can eat them both with savory or sweet. So whenever you have a chance to try this murinpohjalettut, I recommend it wholeheartedly. Thank you so much.
When my dad was younger, he grew up, and when he was growing up, he worked on a farm and he sold corn locally. We also have our own garden that we keep in our backyard. It's smaller than a big farm, but it is, we love eating the fresh tomatoes and cucumbers and peas that we love to grow. One of the best things about our earth is that there is plenty. There is plenty of soil, plenty of sunlight, and plenty of water. Driving across the country from our home in Washington State to our new home in New Jersey, we saw lots of corn stalks, potato plants, wheat fields, trees, cows, and sheep. I'm just really glad that we have all these resources around us, and one of the ways we can show our gratitude for all these amazing resources is we can take care of them. From reading How Does Our Food Grow, I got 3 ideas. The first one is to take care of the soil. I think taking care of the soil means to give it the nutrients that it needs so we can eat healthy fruits and vegetables. The second one is to eat healthy. Part of this is eating nutritious local foods and also making sure that we have our vegetables and fruit that are so important. And the third one is to not waste our food. We shouldn't have more than we need, and we should get the good food. And I just think the earth is such a wonderful gift, and we want to keep it beautiful and plentiful for generations to come. This book has lots of ideas of how we can do that. Thank you.
Of course, to Halawa Diallo, who's not here, and to her team, who's been supporting us since the beginning, and author Brooke Jordan, and Kay Whittleson, the illustrator, who wasn't here, but in many ways it's the illustration that brings us into this book, right? I mean, I actually don't have a confirmation on this, but I'm pretty sure her process was by hand for the most part, right? So it was a very organic, book that was created with traditional methods. And on that note, thanks to Brooke and the team at Familias for allowing us to be part of this project. Just so you know, our plan was indeed to develop a children's book that was based on the cookbook in support of the United Nations. And since we worked so well with Familias on that project, their whole mission is families. That's why Familias, helping families be happy. It made so much sense for us to go back and work with them. I see Ashley in the crowd and Christopher, who came all the way from California. Thank you so much. Necessary to educate children on. And while we were sitting there brainstorming, Brooke was like, well, I have this book that's kind of already in development. And if you want, she's very humble, you can take a look and see if you're interested in it. And so I saw it and I was like, oh, these illustrations, like they're so cool. And so I took it to my board, and they were initially, honestly, a little reticent because we had just launched the book, and so resources were a little tight, but we all realized that it was something that needed and deserved our support and our attention. And so thanks to Brooke for believing in us that we could in any way make this project better, we came on board and support it. And we always talk at KC about not duplicating efforts, and this is an example of that. Why create another book if there's already one that's great? And thank you so much for that. So that's the journey of the book. And so we're very grateful to be here with you. If we think back to when we were children, certainly all of our school times are marked by either local or international events that marked our time when we were children. For me, I was old enough to be aware of what was going on around 9/11 and the things that unfolded then, the UN playing a big role in mitigating the consequences of that. And for children around the world these days, climate change is at the forefront. It's a huge topic, in addition to all the conflicts and maybe some economic crises that might be happening around the world. In fact, researchers conducted a study that was released in June, and after surveying 10,000 students around the world, 59% of them are deeply afraid of the consequences of climate change. 40.
See this book fitting so well into so many of those habits, in how parents and children can learn together about food and about the food system and about where food comes from. And then the eating together. You know, there's so much research to show that when families eat together, that can mitigate so many mental health struggles. It can bring that family closer together. So we really believe this book is an extension of that mission. Initially, when I wrote the manuscript before I brought it to Berlin, my hopes were, one, to help children understand that food doesn't just appear on shelves. I think it's so important to cultivate gratitude for agriculture, for farmers, and for the system that's been set up that allows us to have that food, sometimes more accessible than other times. But teaching children and grounding them in that knowledge of how our food grows is so vital. And secondly, I wanted to empower children to make good food choices in their lives. Research tells us that when children are empowered with knowledge, that they make better choices than if we just try and tell them what to do, right? And be the best choice for our body's health, as well as the planet's health. And we empower our children to make that choice on their own. I see that making huge changes in the future of our world. Why I really wanted Kitchen Connection as a partner is I saw that we could take my hopes for the book and then elevate it to a planetary perspective. So moving the mission beyond the individual and empowering us to make good food choices, but looking at the planetary aspect of how do we eat well, not only for ourselves, but for this planet that we live on. And so in working with Arlene and her team, I think we were able to really broaden that perspective with the book. And
thank you for the presentation. I was just wondering if there's a specific age group that this book is targeted to?
Right. Okay. Thank you, last night. So the book is for 4 to 8 years old, and that's the targeted market for a picture book. So when we were writing the text, that's kind of the reading level that we aimed at. However, this is a book that I hope parents are reading with their children so they can explain any concepts they might not understand. And I think it can also be interesting to older children, just because, as has been mentioned, not everyone knows the process of where our food comes from.
We are happy to host events in the UN, and I think we're lucky with today because as of tomorrow it can become more difficult to come to the UN. and we'll resume again in October. Thank you again. Thank you very much.
So, and then my other level is executive producer for Sesame Street, so I know media and all that fun stuff that you guys do in the publishing world. So, if there were to be some where children were at a garden,